Dear friends, welcome to this short Living Gems validation video. In this video, we'll be looking at an advanced dimension of validation where we can use AI as a helpful resource in checking the spelling and even the appropriate diacritics for Sanskrit words and terms. For those of us who might be unfamiliar with the term diacritics, diacritics are special marks that are added above, below, or through letters to change their pronunciation or meaning. And we can think of them as accent marks that tell us how to pronounce the word correctly. What we'll be learning today can also be applied to other languages, including Pali, French, and Vietnamese. Vietnamese is more complex, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later in the video. I'll be using ChatGPT as the AI interface here, but other AI interfaces are available. Remember, this is not about achieving perfection. It's about having fun and exploring some new ways that might be helpful. Remember, our time is precious, and if we find that we're losing time in this process, then we can simply let go and focus on the important basics. Remember, the basics are covered in the style guide section on non-English terms, and I'll just show you this. So if we scroll down to non-English terms, we can see that it lists the most common languages that we'll come across. And it also lists the 6 different agreed formats that we can use in order to approach the validation of non-English terms. So that depends on whether we know the language or we don't know the language, or we can make an approximation at the spelling of the word, or maybe we can't even make an approximation. So all that's covered in the style guide. And at some point, we will put together another video to help support this section of the style guide. So let's dive right in with an example. And here we have an amazing talk from the 21-day retreat given in 1996. So we'll click on Suggest Edit, and we'll open up the editing function in Living Gems. Here I'm working with a transcript that was originally transcribed by a real person. This would have been before Living Gems was developed and may have been for the purpose of subtitles or for a book. So from time to time, you'll come across these types of transcripts, and while they often have their advantages over the AI, they can also present some additional complexity as they follow a different set of guidelines. For the purpose of this video, we'll focus just on checking Sanskrit terms using ChatGPT. We'll let any other grammar or punctuation issues go for now. I've already listened to this section of the talk, and in some cases, I've already entered the terms into ChatGPT just so that we can go a little bit faster for the video. So the first word that we may want to check the spelling of would be anadapindika. You can see that actually helpfully words that aren't in the dictionary are highlighted. So this can often sort of draw our attention towards them. So what I might want to do is just to highlight this word, and I can do this either by double clicking with the mouse on the word, or I could have just dragged the cursor from the start to the end of the word. Then I want to, now that I've got it highlighted, I want to copy the word. So I can right click and I can copy, and that copies it onto the clipboard. Now I could also have used Command C on a Mac keyboard or Control C on a Windows keyboard. And as we move forward, I'll just use Command C to represent this. So now that we have it on the clipboard, we can go into ChatGPT, and I already have a window open here. And you can see I've already searched for this before, but we'll just do it again as an example. So I can, it says ask anything here, so I can right click and I can use paste, or I could have used Command V on a Mac, or Control V on a Windows machine. And again, I'll just refer to these as Command V as we move forward through the video. So if I press enter, you can see that it already gives me back, it gives me some information about anapendica, and it gives me the spelling with the diacritics. And you can see the diacritics here above the A. So again, what I can do is I can just highlight this word with double click, and I can copy it with Command C, and I can go back to my transcript. And here I still have the word highlighted, and I can just use Command V to paste the correct spelling over the top. Okay, so remember, adding diacritics is optional, but if we haven't checked them, then we place a language flag so that they can be verified later on by somebody. And I'll show you that down here. If we weren't sure, we would simply place a language flag. So we know this is Sanskrit, so we can place that. But if we've checked the diacritics using a reliable source, and for Sanskrit terms, I've found ChatGPT to be accurate enough, then we currently don't need to place a language flag, as we're confident enough, and therefore we don't need to highlight this for future verification. So again, what I can do is, because I have the spelling here with the diacritics, I can double click on it, Command C, and I can go back to this next occurrence of an anapendica, and I can Command V. And because it has the diacritics and we're fairly confident, we can delete the flag. So the next name or the next term that we may want to check the spelling of is Shariputra. And you can see here that the person who did the original transcribing of this talk put some helpful question marks beside the words and the terms that they weren't sure of the spelling of. So we can highlight Shariputra by double clicking. And then we can Command C to copy it. And I've actually already put Shariputra, I've already put this into the search function. And I put in Venerable Shariputra just to give ChatGPT a little bit more context. And you can see here that it's showing us the correct spelling. And it's also put the diacritics on the letters as well. So again, we can copy this. And we can go back to our transcript. And we can Command V just to put that in. And then we can delete the question mark. So the next term that we can see, actually, if we look here, we can see anapendica has been repeated. So again, we can double click on anapendica up here that has the correct spelling and the correct diacritics. Command C. We can double click on anapendica down here and Command V. And that's great. So the next term that we come across is Magadha, the kingdom of Magadha. So in fact, what we can do here again is, and I think I've done this already, is we can copy we give ChatGPT a little bit of context. So we know that it's in the time of anapendica and the kingdom of Magadha. So that's Command C to copy this. And we can put this in here. And Command V. And we can even ask here, what would be the correct spelling of Magadha? Okay, and we can see that it gives us a little bit of information and it tells us that it's really spelt with a H. So again, double click on it to copy it. Command C. And then we can Command V. We can delete the question mark. So as we continue to move through the transcript, we can see here that Shariputra is it's a repetition of the original spelling. So we can go back up to our correct spelling. We can double click. We can Command C to copy it. And then we can double click on the one we want to replace. Command V. And that replaces it, and we can delete the question mark. So this next section is a little bit more challenging. It'll be challenging for ChatGPT. We'll test how it does. So we can see now that we have 3 places, and we can see that maybe this one is Kasala, but the spellings look like they're could do with a little bit of checking. So what we're going to do is we are going to give a little bit more detail for ChatGPT so that it has a little bit more context. Okay. So I've highlighted this section, and I'll Command C to copy it. And I'll go again here, and I'll paste that into the question. And I'm going to give it a little bit more. I'm going to ask it here, what are the spelling of these 3 words? And I can highlight them and copy them. And press enter. Okay, now this is interesting because it looks like it is giving me potentially the Pali, and as you move through, you'll start to see and understand the subtle differences between Pali and Sanskrit. So what I can do is, and I can check to see what Thai normally uses the Sanskrit terms, but from time to time you can use the Pali terms as well. So we'll just check to see what we've heard, and I'll play this section of the talk.
And the Buddha dispatched Shariputra to go with them to read it. So both of them traveled together from Rajagraha to the capital of Kosala, Shravasti.
Okay, so we can hear, hopefully maybe you heard that, it might not have been very clear, but we can hear that last place Thai said was Shravasti. So we can go back in here and we can ask, what would these terms be in Sanskrit with the appropriate diacritics? Okay, and you can see here that it's now given us the Shravasti, Kasala, and Rajagraha. So we can copy these, and we can put them into our text. Copy. And then the last one. We can delete the question mark. You can see that that was quite a complex thing to ask the AI interface to do, and it's done really well with that. So as we continue to move through the transcript, we can see that we come across another occasion where Shariputra has been spelled incorrectly. And we know that we have the correct spelling up here. So we can double click, Command C, and then find the one we want to replace, double click, Command V. And again, they mention the capital Shravasti. So we know we have the correct spelling here. So we can double click to highlight it, Command C. We can go back down to the word we want to replace and double click on it, Command V. And we can also delete the question mark. And again, here we have Shariputra. So here we have the correct spelling, Command C. The one we want to replace, Command V. And the next word we come across then is Jetapak. Now we probably or possibly all heard of the Jetta Park, but this is not the right spelling. So we can ask ChatGPT what's the correct spelling of Jetta Park. So again, I've already put this in, and Thai uses the English rather than the Sanskrit Jetavana. But so we can ask what is the correct spelling in English of Jetta Park, and it says the English speaking would be Jetta's Park. Okay, so we can highlight that. We can Command C. We can go back into our transcript and we can put that in. Oh. Not always so easy. Okay, so Jetta's Park. And I've listened to the talk, and Thai does use the English Jetta Park, and we can add an S on. We know that in the style guide allows us to add S's and EDs on to the end without any additional formatting. And we can also, we know it's Jetta's Park, so when we come across, it was named after Prince Jetta. So we also know then that Jeta is the correct spelling for Jetta. So we can delete the question mark and the H. And we can, this is the second occurrence, we can delete that as well. So the next word that we would want to check, the King of Kosala. So that's actually spelled correctly up here. So we can highlight that, copy it, and then highlight the word we want to replace and paste it. So the king of Kosala was also distant, his wife Queen Malika. So we might want to check the spelling of Malika. So I can highlight this. I can copy it. I can go back up to my conversation with ChatGPT, and I can paste that. And I can ask, what is the correct spelling of Queen Malika? Okay, so again here, it's given me both the Sanskrit and the Pali. But I know I've listened to the talk, and Thai uses the Sanskrit. So again, I can highlight it, copy it, go back to my transcript, and I can paste it. And I can delete the question mark. So we'll just finish to the end of this paragraph. And we can see that, well, we can actually continue down to the next paragraph. We can see again, there's a repetition here of Queen Malika. We can do that. We can paste that on top. I already had that on the clipboard. And we can continue to go through, and we can see again another here. So we can double click and Command V. We'll paste that in again. And then the last one that we'll check here is King Prasnyajet. So we can go up and we can paste that, copy that. Command C. We can go in here and we can, in our question down here, we can just continue the conversation and enter. And we can see that the correct spelling here is Prasnyajet. Okay, so again, you can see that there's a little difference in the Sanskrit and the Pali. And I know that because I've listened to this talk already, that Thai uses the Sanskrit term. As I said before, Thai very often uses the Sanskrit terms, but from time to time he does use the Pali terms, and it's always worth checking. So I'll just highlight that word and then copy it. And I'll go back and I can just paste it here. We can continue through the transcript, just pasting, copying and pasting the correct spellings of the Sanskrit terms and with their appropriate diacritics. And that will just make this transcript a lot more professional and a lot more easy to read and less distracting or confusing, you know. So we can also give ChatGPT something maybe even more challenging. So I'll find the section that I'm looking to highlight. So here we can see we want a deep transformation, and a real transformation is a transformation of the base. So Ashwara Anakriti. So we can listen to what Thai says here.
Ashwaya Paravritti is the.
So we can hear that Thai said Ashwaya Paravritti. So we know that this spelling may be a little bit inaccurate. So what we can do is we can copy a section of the text that provides the approximation, and it also of the spelling, and it also provides some of the context. So here we have, because he talks about what the meaning, he says is Sanskrit, and Thai talks about what it means. It means at the level of our store consciousness, indicating transformation at the very base. So we can copy that, and we can go back up to our ChatGPT conversation, and we can paste that section of the talk in. And we can ask what would be the correct spelling of the following term in the text above. And we can just even highlight that and copy it just to make it a bit easier. And press enter. And you see that it's found it really first time, Asraya Paravritti. You know, so we can copy this. We can go back to our text. We can highlight the section that we want to replace, including the question mark. And we can Command V, which is to paste it. Actually, we can notice that it started with a capital A, so I'm going back into ChatGPT conversation and I'm finding the capital A with the diacritic. And I go back and I find the lowercase a, because it's just at the start of a sentence. And I replace it with the capital A with the diacritics. We would also delete the hyphenation between Ashraya and Parivriti, because Thai doesn't use hyphenations between the Sanskrit terms. Okay, so just a final note then on diacritics. When we use AI to identify and confirm diacritics on Sanskrit and Pali terms, we can let go of the language flags. These terms won't need to be flagged then for a future specific review. And if we're using AI to help us identify Vietnamese terms, we can also add the diacritics that the AI interface like ChatGPT provides, but we always maintain the Vietnamese language flags, as these will always require someone proficient in the language to verify that the spelling and the diacritics are correct. So that's a quick example of how ChatGPT or other AI interface can be a valuable tool for validating Sanskrit terms in the transcripts. And it helps us to identify the correct spellings, including the correct diacritics, and helps us improve the quality of the transcripts. So I hope you found this video useful. And if you have any comments or any further questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below, and we can continue the conversation. Okay, dear friends, hope you've enjoyed this talk, and I hope that you have a wonderful time validating.